The trailer for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is here. Finally, a return to Westeros, even though that other show that also returned to Westeros hasn't ended yet. So I'm sure that you're a really dedicated Game of Thrones fan, and you've already watched all those fancy breaking down everything in the trailer videos, so I'm here to offer you something different. I want to focus on something I noticed in the trailer that got me more nervous than a member of the Night's Watch who just heard 3 horn blasts in a row. Did anybody else notice all the quips?
You know every Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, then?
The good ones.
Then would you move the fuck out of the way?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh!
Are these quips cause for concern? Is it really enough to give us a good indication of the quality of the show? And does this mean that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will be a far different show than we might think? So okay, why are these quips making me nervous? Plenty of amazing dramatic shows have comedic moments. Early Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos. All of these shows, despite being known as some of the most serious dramas ever put on television, all contain comedic lines and moments, some of which could be categorized as quips. Where would we be without Tyrion slapping Joffrey, Walt throwing the pizza on the roof, and Tony talking about gabagool? It's true, the presence of humorous quips doesn't make or break a dramatic narrative. In fact, dramas need at least a little bit of humor to serve as a contrast to their otherwise serious tones. And sometimes a well-timed funny moment is a writer's cheat code for making you like a character more. Humor is an incredibly powerful tool of the drama series, but like a ferocious dragon, the power is also capable of devastating destruction. The reason I get a cold shiver down my spine when I hear a quip in my new Game of Thrones show trailer is that I am reminded of all of the hilarious haha Varys no penis jokes and the side-splitting scoffs at the mention of the name Dickon that plagued the final seasons of the Game of Thrones series. Dark, dark days. And beyond Game of Thrones, quips have gained a pretty bad reputation in modern films as well. What comes to mind are numerous moments in Marvel or Star Wars films where the writers can't just let a moment sit and be. For the audience must be shielded from feeling those pesky feelings with the warm embrace of a, huh, that just happened, or a, we're all gonna die, right? I decided to go back and watch the original House of the Dragon trailer and look at the little Max logo in the corner. Yeah, that didn't work out. And I noticed no quips. Then I looked at the full trailer for House of the Dragon that released a little bit afterwards, and no quips. This at the very least tells us for sure that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will have a different vibe as compared to House of the Dragon or the original Game of Thrones show. Not necessarily a bad thing, just it will be different. And this makes sense even beyond the quips. I haven't read the books that this series is based on, even though I've read all of A Song of Ice and Fire. To my understanding, and no spoilers even with my limited knowledge of the books that this show is based on, these particular stories of Westeros are smaller in scale than the questions of lines of succession that we see in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. And perhaps these quips are nothing more than a reassurance of that smaller scale storytelling, of that heightened sense of focus on the Westerosi small folk, of the more mundane problems that characters in these walks of life face. And of course, a few quips doesn't mean we're getting like, it's always sunny in Westeros or something. I mean, the trailer literally opens with the dude carrying a corpse, so probably not going to be laughing out loud in every single scene. Westeros is a dark place. You know, most fans of fictional worlds wish they could live in the universe of their favorite franchise. Not us Game of Thrones fans. Maybe with all the darkness of Westeros, and factoring in that things aren't really going too good in the real world right now, it was decided that this particular Game of Thrones story would be one that offers something a little more light. I've heard that the Dunk and Egg stories that inspired A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms do have more of an emphasis on that kind of hope for something better within a flawed world, and maybe that's just what we need right now. Another reason we maybe don't need to be too concerned about quips is how the humor seems to mesh with our protagonist, Sir Duncan the Tall. A lot of knight characters that we know of in Westeros are quite formidable, mostly because the most well-known knights in the show are Kingsguard members, Jaime Lannister, Barristan Selmy, and such. But this guy is what's known as a hedge knight. Not some highly disciplined Kingsguard warrior, but just a normal guy who happened to get knighted. At least I think that's who he is. Again, I haven't read the book yet. By the way, do you think I should read the book before the show comes out? I usually like to experience the show first, but maybe I'd cover the show better in future videos if I read the book. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you think I should read it. So, with Sir Duncan's lower status, all these quips feed into the more small-scale storytelling that this story offers us. It makes sense that someone who is closer to a regular guy is going to encounter more humorous moments in his life as compared to the overly serious, not allowed to ever get laid Knights of the Kingsguard. The trailer also offers us a fair amount of other kinds of emotional moments, such as a look at the friendship of Dunk and Egg, the deeper feelings of insecurity that Dunk feels as seen with the "they are my betters" line, and moments of action that I can't fully tell are supposed to be a battle or a tournament. And we're also seeing what should be a major point of conflict with whatever's going on with this guy. This shows us that there will be a range of emotions present in the show. Now, a trailer doesn't show us everything. A trailer only shows us what they want us to see. So will the percentage of quips to drama to action be the same as what we see in the trailer? Or will there be more quips or more drama or less action? The answer is hard to say. And the reason it's hard to say is because, well, it's become quite difficult to trust the Game of Thrones franchise. So as far as the 2 Game of Thrones shows that have been released, they are batting 2 for 2 on season 1s. Always knocking it out of the park with season 1s. Nonsensical dragon pit scenes notwithstanding. As for season 2s, I'm gonna have to give them only 1 for 2. And as for season 3s, we've got a solid 1 for we'll see. My point is that Game of Thrones has consistently had strong openings, and from what we can see here, I can reasonably predict that we're gonna see a pretty strong season 1 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms if they keep these quips in check and give us the right balance of emotion, action, and humor to properly convey the story. But even if that's the case, even if this first season is a banger, how do we know if it can maintain its quality? It's kinda sad how little trust I have in this franchise. With this fictional world that I truly love and have immersed myself in for over a decade, whenever something new comes out for it, I go, oh boy, how are the bozos at HBO gonna screw it up this time? I think this might be why I was so drawn to all of these quips in the trailer. It's not so much that I'm hoping it will succeed and am nervous about one small element, it's that maybe a part of me was looking at the quips so I can be like, ah, there it is. There are the modern storytelling pitfalls. There's the writers not taking the show seriously. Trash. The show is gonna be trash. Pack it up. Time to reread the books. I'm sure George will finish Wins any day now. Maybe the reason that I was drawn to that bad attitude is that I just kind of wanted to rip the band-aid off and accept that this new show is gonna be no good before a single episode has ever even premiered. Just give me something for the pain and let me die. Now, I understand this is a bad mindset. I don't think it's good to look at a new trailer for a new show in one of my favorite franchises and go, okay, where is the bad? And I know that that's something I need to move past. I know I have to be brave about this show, even if I'm scared. After all, that is the only time a man can be brave. So all in all, I'm rooting for you, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Even though the absolute devastation that was seasons 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones and the relatively not as bad but still not great second season of House of the Dragon, I am willing to give you a chance. After all, you've got different people working on you. You're a different kind of story, and a lot of the problems that the other Game of Thrones shows have been in the difficulty of adapting some of the higher budget, higher concept elements. And perhaps this show, being smaller scale and more intimate, is just what we need as an audience. I think that everything we've seen in the trailer, and yes, that includes the quips, indicates to me that this could be a good first season of a show, and a good first season at the very least means a good second season and beyond is possible. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my other channels. I've got one for Nintendo games and another that talks in depth about shows just like this, but it's focused more on cartoons, mainly SpongeBob right now. You should really check it out.